Have you ever pondered why grandmother's meals always had that exceptional taste, despite lacking contemporary appliances or internet recipes? The answer lies in those peculiarly effective techniques that only she possessed. For instance, incorporating a touch of mayonnaise into scrambled eggs, sprinkling sugar onto baking pans, or finding new uses for cooking fat. Today, we're uncovering 25 grandmothers' peculiarly effective cooking techniques you'll regret not learning earlier. Mayonnaise in scrambled eggs. It may sound somewhat unusual to certain people, but if you desire scrambled eggs that are airy and velvety like those served at dining establishments, or possibly superior, your grandmother would discreetly incorporate a spoonful of mayonnaise before cooking. This technique originated from grandmothers understanding that fat is the secret to creating the ideal scrambled eggs. And mayonnaise fundamentally is a stable blend of eggs, oil, and a hint of acid. It wasn't simply a practical condiment, but rather an ideal emulsifier readily found in ice boxes during the 1970s. Simply beat a tablespoon of mayonnaise thoroughly into the eggs until the blend is entirely combined, creating a golden, consistent mixture. Then cook or sauté delicately over gentle heat, ensuring not to overcook them, which makes the eggs become dry. The fat in the mayonnaise assists in creating a silky texture and deeper flavor. Simultaneously, the mild acid assists in keeping the egg proteins delicate, preventing the eggs from overcooking and becoming dry when subjected to the intense heat of the skillet. Today, numerous people favor incorporating milk or heavy cream to their eggs to boost richness. But in grandmother's era, mayonnaise was the magic ingredient that transformed an ordinary egg preparation to an exceptional level, coating pans with sugar. When baking, particularly sweets like cookies or sponge cakes, grandmothers possessed a clever technique to guarantee the cake not only released smoothly, but also possessed an appealing, lovely outer layer. Rather than the conventional dusting of flour over the grease, she would apply a delicate layer of granulated sugar. Initially, she would carefully coat the cake pan with butter or oil or lard. Subsequently, uniformly distribute a delicate layer of sugar over it, tapping the pan softly to remove the surplus sugar, leaving only a thin, sparkling layer adhering to the surfaces. Throughout the baking procedure in the oven, the sugar would gradually caramelize, producing a crunchy, sweet, and glossy exterior with a distinctive golden amber shade for the cake, making it appear considerably more professional and attractive. This not only stops the cake from adhering to the pan, but also contributes depth of taste to the cake's perimeter, which frequently tends to be dry or tasteless. The exterior sugar coating helps the cake maintain ideal moisture, particularly for basic chocolate or vanilla cakes. This method has nearly vanished with the introduction of non-stick pans and cooking sprays, leaving the characteristic crispy caramel exterior of traditional baked goods only in vintage cookbooks. Incorporating soy sauce to chocolate. If you believe soy sauce was exclusively intended for savory preparations like stir-fries or braised dishes, then you've missed a deep umami mystery that grandmother implemented to desserts beginning in the 1970s. You may be astonished and possibly regard this an incredible combination. But genuinely, a touch of soy sauce can be the magic ingredient to making chocolate extraordinary. Simply incorporate approximately half a teaspoon of quality soy sauce to brownie mixture as it's being combined, to hot chocolate, or even to chocolate frosting being mixed, and you will detect a noticeable difference. The deep umami taste in the soy sauce won't make the preparation salty. Conversely, it will enhance the depth and complexity of the chocolate as if you had utilized a costly premium chocolate. It subtly counterbalances the overwhelming sweetness of the sugar, converting the dessert into an unforgettable experience. This technique is particularly beneficial when you are preparing chocolate desserts with fundamental ingredients, assisting it reach a superior level of flavor intricacy using just one common pantry ingredient. Contemporary chefs now employ sea salt, miso, or premium cocoa to accomplish a comparable taste, but nobody realizes that grandmother was pioneering with just a drop of affordable soy sauce. Softening meat with vinegar. Before chemical meat softeners became widespread, Our grandmothers possessed a natural and budget-friendly method to soften difficult cuts of meat utilizing vinegar. Standard cooking vinegars, such as apple cider vinegar or white vinegar, include acetic acid. When grandmother immersed a difficult piece of meat like steak or shoulder in a diluted vinegar blend, the acidity would begin to decompose the muscle strands and connective tissues in the meat. This procedure naturally and efficiently softens the meat, reducing subsequent cooking duration. Moreover, softening meat with vinegar also assists the meat readily absorb other incorporated spices, boosting flavor penetration. Unlike some contemporary marinating techniques that can substantially alter the meat's texture, vinegar, when utilized properly in a diluted concentration and for a suitable duration, will only soften the meat without influencing the final taste. Currently, meat injectors and industrial softening powders have substituted this natural approach, causing the characteristic subtle sour taste of traditional vinegar to nearly vanish from family barbecue preparations. Pasta water for thickening sauce. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Americans found their passion for pasta, and resourceful grandmothers rapidly understood that pasta cooking water wasn't refuse, but a culinary asset. As the pasta prepares, starch from the noodles releases and dissolves into the cooking water, converting the water into a starchy, somewhat cloudy liquid. Rather than utilizing flour or heavy cream to thicken tomato sauce or carbonara sauce, grandmother would scoop a spoonful or a cup of this pasta water into the sauce near the conclusion of the cooking procedure. The starch in the pasta water functions as a natural thickening agent, providing the sauce the preferred smooth consistency without modifying the primary flavor. More significantly, this water already includes salt, which boosts the overall saltiness and taste of the sauce. This also establishes an emulsification between the pasta and the sauce, guaranteeing that the sauce adheres uniformly to the pasta strands, producing a perfect dining experience. Currently, with practical canned sauces, many forget that pasta water was once grandmother's hidden weapon for establishing a natural thickness in Italian preparations. Whipped cream created from banana and egg. In a period when dairy alternatives weren't prevalent and conserving money was essential, your grandmother developed a distinctive alternative whipped cream formula by blending ripe bananas and egg whites. This was an intelligent and budget-friendly solution to serve sweet desserts without requiring costly heavy cream. When ripe bananas are mashed, they supply natural sweetness and a mildly fatty consistency. Egg whites, when beaten, generate the necessary airiness and lightness for whipped cream. Grandmother would softly incorporate the mashed banana into firmly whipped egg whites or beat the complete mixture together, establishing a light, airy, dairy-free topping. This whipped cream wasn't simply an excellent option for those with lactose intolerance, but also a method to employ overly ripe bananas, avoiding waste. This formula shows the resourcefulness of converting readily available ingredients into attractive preparations, a quality of American family kitchens in the 1960s. If these accounts remind you of the aroma of the vintage kitchen and the resourcefulness of the earlier generation, please hit the button below the video to share the appreciation for the warm and thoughtful memories of grandmother's kitchen. Saving bacon grease. If there is one component that represents the ultimate economy and abundant flavor of the 1950s to 1970s kitchen, it is bacon grease. Never wasteful, grandmothers thoroughly filtered and saved bacon grease after frying, utilizing it as a replacement for butter or standard cooking oil. Bacon grease possesses a characteristic smoky, deep flavor. When she utilized it to saute green beans, prepare leafy greens, or bake cornbread, the preparation immediately acquired a compelling layer of savory, creamy taste. In preparations like stewed green beans, incorporating a spoonful of bacon grease converted this basic vegetable into a preparation children genuinely wanted to consume, a resourceful method to motivate the family to consume vegetables. Currently, we frequently employ olive oil or unsalted butter, disregarding the flavor intricacy that bacon grease delivers. But for grandmother's generation, this was a budget-friendly source of fat and the secret to establishing hearty, traditionally abundant meals. Currently, bacon grease is regarded unhealthy. But for the earlier generation, it was the essence of taste, something contemporary olive oil cannot substitute. Coconut milk rice. In kitchens of the 1960s and 1970s, rice was not simply a basic side preparation. It was the cornerstone of the family meal. And to transform that plain white rice, your grandmother would prepare the rice utilizing coconut milk rather than water. The approach is remarkably straightforward. Simply substitute the quantity of water in the rice formula with an equal quantity of coconut milk. Then prepare as typical, monitoring thoroughly to prevent boiling over. Coconut milk, with its natural fat content and delicate sweetness, infiltrates each grain of rice, delivering a natural mild sweetness and a smooth, soft rice consistency. It establishes the ideal foundation for tropical preparations, curries, or deeply flavored stews, assisting to counterbalance and complement the primary tastes of the meal, making the rice more than simply sustenance. Currently, rice prepared rapidly in electric cookers tastes considerably blander, causing the abundant aroma of coconut milk to progressively be overlooked. Incorporating ice cubes to burger patties. In the 1970s, to maintain your burger patties consistently moist and tasty, attempt incorporating an ice cube to each patty before grilling. Resourceful homemakers utilize the alteration in temperature and moisture to counter the tendency of meat to become dry. After combining the ground meat with seasonings, your grandmother would position a small ice cube directly in the middle of each patty being shaped, then softly shape the meat around it so the ice cube was entirely enclosed inside the patty before positioning them on the grill. The ice cube would dissolve during grilling, releasing moisture deep inside the meat, stopping the meat from becoming dry and maintaining the patty delicate and moist from the inside out, even when thoroughly cooked. Consequently, the grilled meat was always tender and moist, guaranteeing restaurant quality without the requirement for complicated fillers or softeners. Currently, burgers are pre-formed in supermarkets or prepared with rapid grills. So, grandmother's ice cube moisture preservation technique is barely referenced anymore. Potato salad combined with pickle juice. When considering grandmother's traditional potato salad from the 1950s, we typically envision a creamy preparation abundant with mayonnaise and eggs. But to make this salad genuinely distinctive and counterbalance the taste, grandmother utilized a component that many contemporary people frequently throw away: pickle juice. After boiling and cutting the potatoes, she would combine them with fundamental salad components like mayonnaise, mustard, and herbs. Then incorporate a few tablespoons of the pickle juice remaining in the jar of pickled cucumbers. Rather than simply utilizing vinegar or lemon juice for sourness, pickle juice was a more budget-friendly and resourceful selection, as it was already saturated with tastes from spices like dill and garlic. The sour, sharp taste of the pickle juice contributed a delicate pungency that enhanced the complete salad, eliminating the surplus richness of the mayonnaise, establishing a considerably more counterbalanced and appealing taste. Moreover, it also assisted preserve the salad somewhat better, which was essential for picnics or casseroles that required to be prepared beforehand. Currently, people concern about salt and prevent utilizing pickle juice, but consequently, contemporary salad loses that original picnic character. Boiling cake mixture on the stove. Currently, the concept of boiling cake mixture on the stovetop may sound unusual, but for resourceful grandmothers in the 1950s to 1970s, this was a resourceful technique to conserve time and prevent overheating the kitchen in the summer, particularly when the oven wasn't always the ideal selection. This method typically began by heating butter, water, sugar, and cocoa in a saucepan until the blend boiled. Then the pan was extracted from the heat, and flour, eggs, and other dry components were incorporated to create a smooth, glossy mixture. The stovetop heating procedure allowed the tastes to combine more thoroughly, establishing a mixture that didn't demand a complicated mixer or multiple bowls. The outcome was dependable sheet pancakes with a moist, compact consistency falling somewhere between fudge and sponge cake. This was a budget-friendly and efficient solution, demonstrating grandmother's intelligence in establishing delicious desserts, ideal for cutting into squares and wrapping in wax paper for school lunches. Cake mixture combined with zucchini. When zucchini was in season, it was frequently abundant and required to be employed. So, grandmothers discovered a method to utilize it in sweet cakes. Simply shred 1 or 2 cups of zucchini, softly squeeze out surplus water if required, and combine it into the cake mixture before baking. This technique is particularly efficient with chocolate cake, spice cake, or traditional zucchini bread. It may sound unusual, but this was a remarkably economical secret, converting an affordable vegetable into a component that enhances the consistency of the preparation. Zucchini contributes excellent moisture to the mixture, assisting the cake become softer, moister, and denser, stopping the dryness that frequently happens when baking cakes prepared with pure flour for too long. More significantly, zucchini possesses almost no distinct taste in the baked cake. So, children frequently didn't even realize they were consuming a portion of nutritious vegetable. Until industrial cakes full of additives substituted these handcrafted vegetable cakes, and grandmother's philosophy of clean consumption, no waste was nearly overlooked, utilizing baking powder on chicken skin. To accomplish that flawlessly crispy golden brown roasted chicken skin without requiring a dehumidifier or complicated methods, grandmothers utilized a straightforward yet efficient chemical technique: baking powder. Baking powder was a fundamental component in kitchens back then, capable of absorbing moisture and altering pH. It was frequently utilized by home cooks for preparing biscuits. Simply combine a small quantity of baking powder with salt and other standard seasonings like pepper and garlic powder. Then massage this dry blend uniformly over the complete surface of the chicken skin before roasting in the oven or on a grill. The baking soda in the baking powder assists absorb surplus moisture from the chicken skin, establishing the required dry environment for crispiness, while also reacting when prepared at elevated temperatures to establish tiny air bubbles on the skin, assisting it expand and become shatteringly crisp. The chicken will accomplish the ideal counterbalance between moist meat inside and a golden brown crispy skin layer outside, appearing nothing short of a culinary masterpiece. This straightforward chemical technique allows you to prepare roasted chicken as crispy as fried chicken, conserving oil and time, and was grandmother's word-of-mouth secret to enhancing preparation consistency. Until air fryers and panko coatings emerged, this approach of grandmother's progressively became less prevalent, covering lasagna with foil. In the 1960s and 1970s, lasagna or casseroles were favored preparations at family gatherings, church functions, or substantial community functions, and preserving moisture and guaranteeing uniform cooking was essential for the cook's reputation. The easiest method was to cover the lasagna pan entirely with aluminum foil for most of the baking duration. The foil functions by capturing steam, establishing a gentle steaming environment inside the oven, which assists the lasagna prepare uniformly from the inside out, particularly the layers of pasta and meat cheese filling in the middle without becoming dry or burning the top, where cheese tends to char readily. Note that you must guarantee the edges of the foil are firmly crimped around the baking pan. Grandmothers typically extracted the foil approximately 10 to 15 minutes before the preparation was completed to allow the cheese to dissolve and develop a lovely golden brown. As microwave ovens and frozen meals dominated, the foil technique for preserving moisture was overlooked, along with the image of those hand-baked lasagna trays full of affection in grandmother's kitchen. Incorporating mustard into mac and cheese. Mac and cheese is a traditional comfort preparation of the 1970s, but occasionally, the surplus richness of the cheese and butter can rapidly become overwhelming. To counter that richness and contribute a portion of taste intricacy, grandmother frequently incorporated an unexpected yet standard condiment: mustard. After preparing the mac and cheese as typical, when the cheese has dissolved and combined with the cream or milk, incorporate 1 or 2 teaspoons of Dijon or yellow mustard into the sauce blend. This is a resourceful technique, utilizing the principle of taste counterbalance to transform a basic preparation. The sharp acidity of the mustard assists eliminate the surplus richness of the cheese. making the preparation fresher and simpler to consume, while contributing delicate depth and mild pungency without altering the primary color or consistency. Mustard also assists boost the cheese taste subtly. Currently, packaged versions have substituted homemade mac and cheese, causing the mild sharpness of mustard, once a thoughtful highlight, to nearly disappear from American kitchens. Immersing onions in cold water. Raw onions, particularly yellow or white onions, frequently possess a powerful, pungent taste that can readily spoil the thoughtful taste of salads or other fresh preparations. To moderate this disagreeable sharpness, your grandmother would slice the onions and immerse them in a bowl of cold water or ice water for approximately 10 to 15 minutes before utilizing them. Afterward, they were drained and thoroughly dried with paper towels. The cold water assists extract the volatile sulfur compounds that cause eye irritation and sharp pungency, making the onions substantially milder. The onions preserved their excellent crispness and natural taste, with the sharpness moderated. The onions became considerably simpler to consume in salads and picnic preparations. This is a technique that not only enhances taste, but also decreases the discomfort for the cook during preparation. Now, hybridized sweet onions mean people no longer require this technique, but that also means vintage salads lose their inherent thoughtful, mild taste. Love this video? Show some appreciation with a like and a subscribe. Dislike it? A like would still be appreciated, and your feedback in the comments will assist me enhance. Fish spread with mayonnaise. Many people are hesitant when grilling fish because they concern the fish will become dry or adhere to the grill. But for your grandmother in the 1960s, grilled fish was always moist and possessed a beautifully golden outer exterior. The straightforward secret still lies in that familiar jar of mayonnaise. Fish like halibut, cod, or salmon are frequently lean and susceptible to becoming dry and becoming difficult when subjected to elevated temperatures. And rather than butter, mayonnaise is an intelligent fat-based solution to establish an ideal anti-drying barrier. When a delicate layer is distributed on the fish fillet, the mayonnaise establishes a waterproof barrier, stopping the fish's natural moisture from releasing when encountering elevated temperatures. This coating also protects the surface of the fish from searing. More significantly, the elevated fat content assists the fish accomplish a lovely golden color and establishes a somewhat crisp exterior layer without requiring a substantial quantity of oil. Once grilled, the taste of the mayonnaise will disappear, leaving only buttery soft fish inside and an appealing exterior outside. Currently, as non-stick parchment paper and oil sprays dominate, the mayonnaise technique is regarded old-fashioned, even though its outcomes are still difficult to substitute. Potatoes prepared in heavy cream. Grandmother's mashed potatoes or roasted potatoes always possessed an extremely smooth consistency and an unmistakable abundant taste. The reason is that rather than boiling potatoes in plain water or broth, she would utilize a quantity of heavy cream for cooking. This wasn't simply to boost richness, but also a cooking method to accomplish a luxurious consistency without requiring a substantial quantity of butter later on. When the potatoes are simmered in heavy cream, starch from the potatoes is released and combines with the fat and protein in the cream. This procedure establishes an ideal combination, assisting the potatoes thoroughly absorb the richness of the cream from within. When mashed, you obtain extremely smooth mashed potatoes with a creamy consistency, almost like a thick soup without any lumps or dryness. For gratin-style baked potatoes, immersing and baking the potatoes in heavy cream converts the preparation into a refined culinary experience with abundant cream coating every potato slice. Currently, calorie concerns lead many to avoid cream-prepared potatoes, but anyone who tasted that taste realizes no low-fat version can genuinely recreate that warm sensation. Bolognese sauce with anchovies. Bolognese is a traditional meat sauce that demands long simmering duration to accomplish depth and taste intricacy. But your grandmother incorporated a few pieces of canned anchovies during the procedure of sautéing the meat and vegetables to accelerate the duration while preserving quality. Anchovies, an abundantly fermented component, were frequently obtainable in the 1960s pantries. The approach is very delicate. When sautéing onions, carrots, and garlic, mirepoix, incorporate 2 to 3 small pieces of anchovies and prepare until they dissolve entirely in the hot oil. Then proceed the steps for preparing the meat sauce as typical, incorporating ground meat and tomatoes. The anchovies dissolve away, releasing deep umami taste into the sauce without any fishy taste. And wonderfully, they leave no individual fish taste behind. It boosts the richness, making canned tomato sauce taste homemade and slow prepared. Later, most people depended on canned sauce, causing this delicate little technique to progressively vanish from contemporary kitchens. Pie dough with vodka. The secret to accomplishing a light, delicate, non-chewy, flawlessly crisp pie exterior is substituting a portion of the water in the dough with vodka, a technique that professional chefs still employ currently. This technique is not about incorporating alcoholic taste, but a resourceful scientific maneuver to control gluten development. Initially, combine the pie dough as typical, cold butter, flour, salt, but substitute half the cold water with cold vodka. Then knead the dough rapidly and softly. Vodka possesses 2 superior advantages. Initially, it moistens the dough without activating gluten, the difficult component, as strongly as water does, assisting the exterior preserve its delicateness. Subsequently, the alcohol in the vodka entirely evaporates during baking, leaving gaps in the dough, which assists the exterior remain soft, flaky, and flawlessly textured, not compact or chewy. Ideal pie exterior was the pride of any grandmother, and this resourceful kitchen chemistry technique assisted 1970s homemakers establish professional exteriors readily, conserving kneading duration. Mashed potatoes incorporated with egg yolk. If your mashed potatoes tend to be dry, tasteless, or grainy, lacking the preferred creamy consistency, grandmother would enrich them by incorporating an egg yolk. This technique is a traditional method to boost richness and consistency, particularly beneficial when you don't want to waste too much costly butter or heavy cream. After mashing the boiled potatoes, she would rapidly combine a fresh egg yolk in while the potatoes were still hot, incorporating very rapidly and uniformly, guaranteeing the yolk was entirely incorporated with the hot potato. The egg yolk, abundant in fat and natural emulsifiers, boosts the thickness and assists bind the potatoes, establishing a considerably smoother and more luxurious creamy consistency with a richness as if a substantial quantity of cream had been incorporated. The heat from the potatoes softly prepares the yolk, allowing it to function as a natural thickening agent without causing a fishy aroma. Currently, instant meals mean this thoughtful method is rarely practiced, even though it was once the secret to making dinner taste like a restaurant meal. Incorporating fish sauce to onion soup. Similar to anchovies and soy sauce, fish sauce was also utilized by grandmothers as an abundant umami enhancer in stews and soups, particularly the famous French onion soup in the 1970s, to deliver deep taste without long bones simmering. As the onions are gradually caramelizing on the stove, incorporate 1 or 2 small teaspoons of fish sauce and allow it to combine with the sweet taste of the prepared onions. Fish sauce will tremendously boost the savory notes of the onion soup without any fishiness. It simply establishes a more abundant, more intricate taste, making it challenging for diners to identify this secret component. In reality, fish sauce is a fermented sauce naturally abundant in glutamate capable of intensely stimulating the umami taste. Later, contemporary formulas utilize seasoning powders or ready-made broths, causing the resourcefulness of employing fish sauce, a symbol of natural fermented cuisine, to progressively vanish. Buttermilk substitute with vinegar. Buttermilk is a critical component for preparing flawlessly airy biscuits, cornbread, and pancakes. But in the 1950s to 1970s, it wasn't always readily obtainable at the grocery outlet, particularly in countryside areas. To prepare buttermilk at home, homemakers would combine a tablespoon of white vinegar or apple cider vinegar into a cup of standard fresh milk. Then let the blend sit for approximately 5 to 10 minutes. The acidity of the vinegar immediately reacts with casein protein in the milk, causing the milk to curdle somewhat, establishing a consistency and sourness comparable to actual buttermilk. This substitute functions just as efficiently as genuine buttermilk in baking formulas, supplying the required acidity to activate baking powder or baking soda, assisting baked goods rise airier and softer. This approach conserved grandmother a trip to the outlet and guaranteed traditional baking formulas wouldn't fail. It was a resourceful and cost-efficient component substitution method. Incorporating salt to coffee. Coffee can be a critical beverage to begin the day, but occasionally the brewed coffee possesses a disagreeable, sharp bitterness, particularly when utilizing coffee that has been roasted and ground for a long duration. Rather than incorporating sugar or milk to conceal the bitterness, your grandmother would incorporate a little salt. It sounds counterintuitive, but in reality, it functions based on the mechanism of taste counterbalance. Salt or sodium chloride not only boosts sweetness, but also possesses the ability to decrease the taste perception of bitterness. When grandmother incorporated a very small pinch of salt to the ground coffee before brewing or sprinkled a little salt into the brewed coffee, the salt neutralized some of the bitter compounds. The outcome is a smoother, more counterbalanced coffee taste, allowing the delicate aromatic notes of the coffee to be expressed more clearly. This was a budget-friendly and efficient secret, assisting grandmother convert affordable or lower quality coffee into a more palatable cup. However, with numerous contemporary coffee makers and premium roasted beans, that small salt technique has progressively been overlooked. Incorporating peanut butter to muffin tins. Grandmother's muffins always possessed a delightful surprise in the middle, a center of soft dissolved cream wrapped in an airy cake layer, and she utilized peanut butter to establish that distinction. After greasing or lining the muffin tins with parchment paper, she would position a small teaspoon of peanut butter into the bottom of each tin, rather than combining the peanut butter directly into the mixture. Then pour the muffin mixture over it, filling the tins as typical. When the muffins were baked, the peanut butter would somewhat dissolve and sink to the bottom of the tin, creating a soft, creamy, nutty filling layer underneath the cake. This approach assists maintain the peanut butter from becoming dry and hardening as it would if combined into the mixture, guaranteeing the filling is always moist and luscious. This technique not only contributes appeal to the muffins, but is also a straightforward method to convert a fundamental preparation into a more exciting experience. A small but meaningful piece of creativity in the family kitchen. Incorporating baking soda to milk. In the period before contemporary refrigeration and advanced preservation approaches, maintaining fresh milk from developing sour was a major challenge, particularly in countryside areas or in homes attempting to conserve electricity. Grandmothers possessed a straightforward chemical technique to extend the shelf life of milk, sprinkling a little baking soda into the milk container. In reality, milk develops sour due to the growth of lactic bacteria, which generate lactic acid, boosting the milk's acidity. Baking soda is a mild alkali capable of neutralizing acid. When grandmother incorporated a very small pinch of baking soda to fresh milk, it assisted neutralize the natural acidity, decelerating the milk spoilage procedure. This technique not only conserved her funds by stopping the milk from spoiling early, but was also a resourceful food preservation strategy employing fundamental kitchen components. Of course, this technique only decelerates the spoilage procedure. It cannot convert spoiled milk back into fresh milk. When refrigerators emerged, this technique became obsolete, but baking soda remains a testament to the intelligence and natural scientific understanding of old-school homemakers. Pancakes from mashed potatoes. In the no-waste mindset of the 1950s to 1970s generation, remainders were not something to throw away, but an opportunity for a creative new preparation the next day. Remaining mashed potatoes are an ideal example, and grandmothers converted this surplus preparation into crispy potato pancakes. Cooled mashed potatoes were combined with flour, eggs, and frequently remaining sautéed onion or cheese, creating a thick mixture. This blend was then shaped into flat, round patties and rapidly fried in a little bacon grease or butter. Elevated temperature makes the exterior of the pancake shatteringly crisp, while the potato filling inside preserves its softness and richness. This potato pancake preparation was typically served hot as a side preparation or a rapid breakfast, showing grandmother's resourcefulness in recycling and maximizing the worth of every component. It wasn't simply a preparation, but also a lesson in economy and creativity in the kitchen. Grandmother's kitchen techniques didn't simply make food taste superior, they also remind us of a period when resourcefulness and economy were the secrets to feeding a complete family. If you also treasure those straightforward memories, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications so you don't miss out on warm accounts from the past.